the Finance and Physical Resources Committee. Wayman, would you please read the notice regarding electronic participation?
Sure will. Pursuant to Governor Whitmer's Executive Order 2020-75, the Finance and Fiscal Resources Committee of the Kent County Board of Commissioners, in order to protect the public health, will conduct this meeting via electronic communication. Any member of the public wishing to listen to the proceedings or provide public comment may do so by following the internet connection or phone numbers and passcode as listed on the agenda. Anyone disrupting the meeting by using offensive language or actions may be removed. And you may contact the county to provide public comment at publiccomment@kentcountymi.gov.
All right, thank you, Wayman. With that, we will open public comment. So we're looking for any public comment for the Finance and Physical Resources Committee this morning.
Nothing in mail and nothing via chat.
And a reminder for those participating, if you would please mute your phones to help keep background noise to a minimum, except for when you're speaking.
Still good? There are no requests for public comment.
All right, with that, I will close public comment and ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved by Brevi.
Okay, is there support?
Support by Sparks.
Support.
All right, support by Sparks, moved by Brevi. Questions or comments on the consent agenda from the Finance Committee? Anything, Wayman?
No comments, no hands raised.
I believe Pam is not here today, and we have Natasha to take roll call.
Yes, good morning. For the consent agenda, Commissioners Antor.
You got to speak up a little louder.
Commissioner Antor. Brevi.
Yes.
Volkowski.
Yes.
Morgan.
Yes.
Sparks.
Yeah.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Womack.
Yes.
Wooden.
Yes.
No, we don't, Commissioner, I'm sorry, yes. Go ahead.
Chair Jones.
Yes, good.
And once more for Antor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great.
Motion
Thank
passes.
you, everybody. And we will move on to item 3 from Community Corrections, the 2021 grant agreement, provider contracts and appropriation. Wayman.
Yeah, Madam Chair, this is a request of the Board of Commissioners to approve the grant agreement with the Michigan Department of Corrections for 2021 funding for the Office of Community Corrections to appropriate $1 million to the Community Corrections budget in the Special Revenue Fund, and to authorize the board chair designee to execute the agreement with the state and contracts with the proposed vendors, subject to final review of the documents by corporate counsel and approve extensions, amendments, and increases to the grant appropriation not to exceed 15% of the original award. On June 11, 2020, the Board of Commissioners approved the Community Corrections Comprehensive Plan and application for funding under PA 511 of 1988, which provides grant funding from the state to administer and appropriate programs that provide alternatives to incarceration for offenders. Funding will be provided for the following programs: alternative directions, court services, CBT services, homeward bound, Burgess, psychological services, Arbor Circle, Catholic Charities, jail-based GED services, Women Resource Center, front of the court, and the 61st District Court. Funds have also been included in the Office of Community Corrections budget for the Kent County Services Department, which includes pretrial programs, community services program, case management, and risk assessment, and the Kent County Sheriff's Department Correctional Facility. The grant period is October 1, 2020 through September 30th, 2021. It is expected that the grant is renewable. This action is not an item related to COVID-19.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve
Voorhees approved.
and support?
Bulkowski
Supported by
support.
Spark.
Okay, Volkowski supported, and let's go ahead and take questions, comments, and discussion.
Kowski.
Commissioner Volkowski.
Thank you, Chair. Just a general question about funding level. Is this flat funding from current year or up or down? And were there any significant changes in contract doors?
Andy Verhey, is he on the phone? I believe he's
Yep.
there. Perhaps he can answer. Okay.
Yeah, hopefully you can see me. I trying to use my phone this time instead of my laptop, so I apologize. We are expecting flat funding this year from the current awards, so no significant changes in the level of funding from fiscal year 2020 to fiscal year 2021.
And then the contractors are the same moving forward?
Yes, the contractors are the same. There have been some changes based on what our Community Corrections Advisory Board approved, and then the approval for the grant submission last week by the Board of Commissioners. So there's been some modification in terms of providers. So we're not contracting with the individuals for the jail-based GED, and change in the contract with Alternative Directions. And we're contracting with New Visions for an additional seeking safety program for female offenders.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
No hands raised.
All right, Natasha, would you please call the roll?
Yes, absolutely. Commissioners Antor,
Yes.
Breivy,
Yes.
Bulkowski,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
Sparks,
Yeah.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Womack,
Yes.
Wooden,
Yes.
Chair Jones.
Yes.
All right.
That will bring us to item number 4 from the Drain Commission. Drain Commission request for proposal. Wayman, would you please review the action request?
Yes, ma'am. This is a request to the board to authorize the drain commissioner to assess, levy, and collect for an engineering study of Dean Lake as necessary in order to maintain established lake level, determine a lake outlet, and for the protection of natural resources. An inland lake level has been established for Dean Lake pursuant to the Inland Lake Level Act of the Natural Resources Environmental Protection Act. The Kent County Drain Commissioner has received a petition from a majority of the property owners around Dean Lake requesting an engineering study to review the lake level and ways to manage that lake level. State statute requires an expenditure of more than $10,000 for the maintenance and report of water control. Structure be approved by a resolution of the Kent County Board of Commissioners. The maximum cost of the engineering study is estimated at $30,000. Cost of the engineering study will be covered by an assessment against the assessment district established for Dean Lake. Corporate Counsel will review and approve all documents related to the engineering study, and this action is not an activity related to COVID-19.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
Approved by Breivy, or motion by Breivy.
And is there support?
Support by Spark.
Okay. Questions, comments, and discussion?
No hands raised.
Okay, do we have our drain commissioner on the line?
Drain Commissioner staff is here. Commissioner Yonker is out of the office at the moment. This is Joel Morgan. I'm the senior engineer, and then Deputy Drain Commissioner Levitas is here too. So We've had reports just of high water on Dean Lake over the last several years. At this point, it's 2.5 feet higher than its legally established lake level. And so there is damages to shoreline structures, septic drain fields, things like that. And so the Dean Lake Association is interested in, at this point, a study to identify a feasible and prudent route and method to lower the lake level. And so all this proposal is at this time is to identify that route and mechanism to lower the lake level.
So this is a pretty common challenge for all the lakes right now. And tell me a little more about Dean Lake and what makes this one coming through here versus other ones that don't.
Yeah, great question. So the legal lake level for Dean Lake was originally established in the 1960s because the lake level was low. That funded construction of augmentation wells to raise the lake. Since then, the lake level has varied both high and low. There was a couple of times in the 90s where the lake level was about 2 feet higher than the legal lake level. Again, having issues on the shoreline. Progressive A&E did 2 studies at that time to identify routes, but the cost to construct an outlet was considered prohibitive at the time. Dean Lake is what we would call a kettle hole lake, in that it's a bowl or a bathtub without a drain, so to speak. There's no outlet for it. It takes water from the watershed, yet it can't discharge out. And so over the last 3 years in particular, we've had a higher than average groundwater levels throughout the state, and in particular Southwest Michigan. And so Dean Lake is just seeing that, much like other lakes in the area. What makes Dean Lake special is the fact that it does not have an outlet. Several other lakes that we've had high levels, Myers Lake, Crooked Lake, Pine Lake, Lake Bella Vista, all have some method of discharging high waters. And so in this particular instance, the landowners or the lake association would like the lake level to be dropped closer to the legal level.
And this particular lake is one that the drain commissioner pays for, or is it one that gets assessed back to the homeowners?
It's assessed back to a special assessment district that's comprised primarily of the riparian owners along the lake.
Okay, Commissioner Antor, did you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I was just wondering, you mentioned the septic systems being affected. Are they currently, is the water level up to the point where the septic systems are seeping into the water? Can you get to that point yet?
I don't know the answer to that. I think that would be one of the questions we would seek to answer with this study. Good question.
Okay, and then what's the best course of action? Is there any drainage in that area that eventually you could tie into?
We have 2 county drains. The first is what we call the Plainfield drain, which colloquially might be called the Lamberton Creek. That is west down 4 Mile.
Yep.
And about 3/4 of a mile away. That could take waters. The other option is what we call the Hills and Dales drain. It's a storm sewer system about 1/3 of a mile, half a mile north of the lake. And that discharges directly to the Grand River.
So that one would probably have the least amount of impact on neighbors downstream, correct? The second option?
Potentially. The first option is an open water course, so it might have a larger capacity to accept more water. The Hills and Dales drain is a storm sewer system, and so it may have less capacity to accept new waters. And so part of the study will be to evaluate the available capacity of the Hills and Dales drain and develop strategies to lower the lake level or discharge the lake at times when the Hills and Dales drain may not be used. So when it's not raining, essentially.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, just a quick follow-up on process. Is it your office that confirms the petition?
That is correct.
And is the petition confirmed for this?
This petition wasn't.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think how to phrase this question. So the petition process for an inland lake level is different than the petition process for a county drain. So for a county drain petition, we would confirm all of the names on the petition through the treasurer's office to ensure there's no unpaid taxes or liens on the property. The petition for an inland lake level is a little bit more informal. And the way our office is traditionally done is we've requested a petition to demonstrate that a majority of the homeowners on the lake or the majority of the people in the assessment district are willing to go forth with a project like this. And so legally speaking, the petition does not have to be verified to the same extent that the county drain petition has to be verified.
Okay. Are there any other questions, Wayman?
No, Madam Chair, no other questions.
Okay, Natasha, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Commissioners Antor,
Yes.
Reavy,
Yes.
Olkowski,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
Sparks. Sparks,
Thank you, yes.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Womack,
Yes.
Wooden,
Yes.
Chair Jones.
Yes. Okay, that motion passes. That will bring us to item 5 from Kent County Community Action. Wayman, would you please read the action request?
Yes, I will. This is a request to approve the funding from the Michigan Department of Education authorized by the Families First Coronavirus Response Act to appropriate $31,600 in revenue to the 2019-20 Commodity Assistance Program budget and to authorize the board chair or county administrator to execute the grant documents related to the funding and approve extensions, amendments, and increases to the grant appropriation not to exceed 15% of the original award. Kent County received funding from the MDE for the Commodity Assistance Program related to the Families First Coronavirus Response. The grant will allow the Kent County Community Action Agency to distribute additional nutritional food boxes while also helping to prevent, prepare, and respond to the COVID-19 crisis. Currently, Community Action distributes on a quarterly basis to approximately 11,000 families with income at or below 130% of poverty. The Commodity Assistance Program grant will reimburse costs of eligible administrative activities incurred for pandemic response with a period of performance starting May 1, 2020 to September 30th, 2020. The action item is an activity related to COVID-19.
Thank you, Wayman. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion by Breivy.
Support by Sparks.
It moved and supported, and we'll take questions, comments, and discussion.
There are none. No hands raised. Well, wait a minute, there's one. Commissioner Wooten.
Yes, Commissioner Wooden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question. The quarterly basis, I'm just wondering, is that every quarter someone's getting a meal, or is it that they're getting non-perishable items that can last them a quarter? If you can describe that process a little bit, that'd be great.
Someone on the line from Community Action today? Susan Cervantes.
Hi, Wayman, this is Susan.
Hey, Susan.
The process is that we have several sites around the county that we do the distribution for, and there's a distribution each month. And so the families would get a unit of food, which would be about $75 value of food. And it is to supplement items that they have in their households so that they can make meals. Now, if it's a family of 1 to 4, they get 1 unit. If it's a family 5 to 8, they get 2 units, and anything of a family size 9 and over, they get 3 units. And so the 11,000 units is what we do throughout the county within a quarterly basis.
Oh, okay. Thank you. That's helpful. Thank you very much.
Okay, anyone else?
No other hands raised.
Okay, Natasha, would you please call the roll?
Yes, Commissioners Antor,
Yes.
Reavy,
Yes.
Bulkowski,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
Sparks,
Yes.
Voorhees. Commissioner Voorhees. Womack,
Yes.
Wooden,
Yes.
Chair Jones,
Yes.
and once more for Voorhees. You might be muted.
Yes, muted. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you,
There he
Commissioner
is.
Voorhees. Thank you.
All right, the motion passes. That brings us to item 6, also from Kent County Community Action. Wayman, would you please read the action request?
Yes, this is a request to approve the Kent County Community Development Annual Action Plan for July 1, 2020 through June 30th, 2021, to appropriate $2.8 million in revenue to the 2020-21 Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnership, and Emergency Solutions Grant programs, and to authorize the board chair or designee to execute the grant agreements, documents related to the plan, and approve extensions, amendments, and increases to the grant appropriation not to exceed 15% of the original award. Kent County is a qualified urban county, which makes it eligible to receive funds from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development for its 39th year as an entitlement community. The 5-year extended consolidated plan for July 1, 2016 through July 30, 2021 consists of assessments, market analysis, and related goals and objectives, and is a prerequisite of obtaining CDBG, home, and ESG funding from HUD. The grant application, referred to as the Annual Action Plan, contains descriptions and budget for CDBG, home, and ESG funding activities, and proposed to take place between July 1, 2020 through June 30, 2021, including CDBG projects requested by local units of government. The application also allocates $2.85 million in funding that includes CDBG, which is $1.7 million, home, which is $948,000, and ESG, which is $154,000, and recognizes an additional $10,000 in anticipated program income from the CDBG Housing Rehabilitation Program. This action is not an activity related to COVID-19.
Thank you, Wayman. Is there a motion to approve?
Moved by Wooden.
Support by Spark.
Hey, moved and supported, and we'll take questions, comments, and discussion. Yes, Commissioner Wooden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Had enjoyed reading over the plan this weekend. I had a few questions. In the past, I requested, and this was received, a summary of how our the homes that we have helped create through our home investment partnership, seeing how many of them are still owned by the original buyer, how many of them have been sold again, and for how much they sold. That was received, but it came to my attention that we actually could have a larger sample set if we also included the housing units that were assisted with the NSP funds from the Recovery Act of 2009 and the other NSP funds that were available after that. I'm wondering, is that something that we can summarize, how many of the NSP assisted homes are owned by the same person, how many have been sold, and whether or not they were sold at a higher than affordable rate? I'm asking largely because we are about to embark on our next 5-year plan for these funds, and I think it'd be important to see what additional policies we can put in place to ensure that the tax dollars we invest in these properties, they are preserved as affordable for a much longer period than the typical 5 to 10 year retention that exists with other homeownership programs.
Susan, I don't know if you have an answer for that. I would
Um,
assume that we can do just that, but I will let you speak to it.
Right, and we can try to get those statistics. The NSP program is not operational right now. And so we would have to go back and look at what was done during the NSP program and the records for that program. We'd have to go through and look at those properties. It's something that we can try to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think from my perspective, just figuring out what properties there are and then cross-checking that with property records to see if they've been sold and for how much they were sold, that would be largely the interesting factor for me. As mentioned, when we summarize the home units, many of those are still in their affordability period. With NSP, almost none of them are probably by now. And so we can get a much more accurate picture. How many of those homes have been sold? How many of them were bought up by investors? What price they were sold for? Because again, if you know, I'm a firm believer that we are using these tax dollars to create affordable housing. And while it's a boon to whoever sells it afterwards for wealth generation, I want to make sure that we are creating stable, affordable housing for the long haul. And since there are ways of creating things like shared equity housing, knowing that statistic, I think, will be helpful in forming our next 5-year plan.
Okay. We'll work on that, Commissioner, and hopefully we can get that to you soon.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Commissioner Bukowski has his hand up.
Go ahead, Commissioner Bukowski.
Thank you, Chair. Just a request, and I apologize if it hit my inbox and I didn't see it. When we approved a lot of things for community action a couple weeks ago related to the CARES Act funding and other COVID funding that comes alongside this, just, you know, still looking for kind of the one page, I would call it a cheat sheet, to see how this money comes alongside, where this isn't an activity related to COVID. There are COVID related funds, and just so we can get a higher level picture of all the resources that are addressing these issues in our community. As Commissioner Wood had noted, looking at the 5-year plan, what are the opportunities now with CARES Act? But again, just very high level.
Sure. A one pager. And so Susan, are you were able to hear the questions? Could we do that next week? Let me know if there's anything we can do over here.
Week or 2 or 3, 4, no rush. All right. But again, I don't want to put a burden, but at the same time, if you have it at the ready, it'd be awesome.
CARES Act funding has the subcommittee has passed, and so now we have a little bit more time to work on these types of activities. So we're glad to help.
All right, back of an envelope would be great too. Nothing fancy.
Betcha.
Okay, Commissioner Womack.
Yeah, just requesting the paperwork that Wooden requested on those tabulations, if that could be sent to me also. Thank you.
You bet. Sure, we'll make sure of that. We'll make sure that all of you get the information so that everybody has the same. Susan, so you got 2 items there to follow up on.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I don't see any other hands. We will go ahead and do the roll call vote. Natasha?
Thank you. Commissioners Antor,
Yes.
Raby,
Yes.
Bulkowski,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
Sparks,
Yes.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Womack,
Yes.
Wooden,
Yes.
Chair Jones.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, that motion passes. That brings us to item number 7 from the sheriff. Wayman, would you please read the action request?
Sure will. This is a request to the board to accept a secondary road supplemental appropriation grant award to appropriate $82,000 from the State of Michigan Office of Highway Safety Planning for the 2019-20 Sheriff Special Project Fund budget and to authorize the board chair designate to execute the grant agreement, approve extensions, amendments, and increases to the grant appropriation not to exceed 15% of the original award. The Kent County Sheriff's Office annually receives a grant award from the state of Michigan's Office of Highway Safety to fund the operations of secondary roads program. This program enables 3 deputies to focus on patrol and traffic violations on secondary roads and also investigate crashes. The Office of Highway Safety under the secondary road program has issued an initial grant award in the amount of $350,000, which is already incorporated into the 2019-20 budget. Subsequently, the state legislature and the governor authorized an additional $2 million in funding for this program, of which Kent County's allocated portion is $82,400. Of the supplemental amount, $82,400, the sheriff's office plans to utilize the funds to cover personnel and equipment expenditures. The grant period is October 1, 2019 to September 30th, 2020. The action item is not related to COVID-19.
Thank you, Wayman. Is there a motion to approve?
Moved by Morgan.
Moved by Morgan and support by Brady?
Sure.
Okay. Questions, comments, and discussion? No hands.
No hands raised. Wait a minute, wait. There's one.
All right,
Commissioner
Commissioner Volkowski.
Apologize. Looking at the costs, more than half is related to equipment and automotive. So is it, what kind of equipment are we getting? When, I was expecting to see a lot more in time as opposed to equipment.
The sheriff's on the call today. I saw her earlier.
I am.
She could answer this question.
Yeah, Commissioner, so what we are purchasing with this is called a Farrell Scanner, and it allows us to measure a scene very, very quickly so that we're able to restore the roadway back to traffic. This will be the second of 2 scanners, and this will allow us, if we have equipment failures, there's not a very good backup plan for the scanner, so that gives us a second one in our fleet. It also is used by our scientific support unit in the Detective Bureau to help measure scenes of other types. So, and this is available to agencies throughout Kent County upon request if necessary. And this had been cut from the original budget because we didn't, in our initial allotment, did not have the proceeds to do it.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
No other hands raised.
All right, Natasha, would you please call the roll?
Yes, thank you. Commissioners Antor,
Yes.
Brady,
Yes.
Volkowski,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
Sparks,
Yes.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Womack,
Yes.
Wooden,
Yes.
Chair Jones.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
All right, that motion passes. That brings us to item 8, which is Commissioner Miscellaneous. Is there any Commissioner Miscellaneous this morning? Commissioner Wooden, is that a hand?
That was a hand.
Go ahead, Commissioner Wooden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was unable to join the call on Friday with the local units of government. I was wondering, I recall from our previous commission meeting that the plans with allocating and appropriating the $10 million set aside for not-for-profit supports was still being determined with United Way. I was wondering if there's been any updates on that, and if admin could provide such an update.
Yeah, we've been going back and forth with United Way, solidifying the agreement with them. We are close, very close in ironing that out. We're very confident that they will be a good suitor. And so we're hoping to tie that knot off this week, very soon, Commissioner.
Great, thank you. If have they drafted a plan similar to the chamber in tandem with that agreement?
Yes, they have a very thoughtful plan that we're feeling very good about. And again, we've gone back and forth with them to make sure that we were comfortable, they're comfortable, and we think we've got a good partner. They've had experience, as you know, working with nonprofits prior to this. They give us weekly reports. In fact, we got another report from them yesterday on previous funding allocations that they've made themselves internally. And we're feeling very confident. Linda, you have another comment?
Commissioner, just the chamber arrangement is the foundation, if you will, for the United Way arrangement. They will have the similar selection committees based on nominations from different parts of the community to make sure that they reach all corners of the county and all different types of nonprofits. They've been very, very helpful in very long discussions last week, and we're in the process of going back and forth on the actual documentation. As Wayman said, hope to have everything signed, sealed, and delivered this week.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Brady?
Yeah, I just have a quick update from the Grand Rapids Public Museum. As you may have heard, they'll be reopening in July. July 1 through 3, members can come in, and they should purchase their tickets online at grpm.org. And then also non-members can start coming in on July 6th. So great opportunity to get the kids out of the house and enjoy a relatively safe experience. They'll have lots of precautions in place and hand sanitizer available, and guests would be required to wear masks if they're medically able. So just a quick update. Hope to see everyone at the museum.
Okay, other Commissioner miscellaneous this morning?
No hands raised.
All right, we will adjourn. Our next meeting date is July 21st at 8:30 a.m. And as of now, we are planning on that being in person with details to follow. Right, Wayman?
That is absolutely correct, Madam Chair.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.